Mixed bag is what you're saying.
Like,
I'm hearing a lot of different.
That's the results I'm getting. It's 50-50 right now.
So your brother sat in this chair. He went to the early screening of Oppenheimer before everyone else. The most excited I've ever seen him. Talking about this movie for months. Yeah. So disappointed. He said, what? He fell asleep?
He
hated the movie, right? I hated it for him.
Yeah.
Because he was bummed out. Yeah. Then follow that up with another producer here, Knowles' producer, said he didn't like Oppenheimer either. So after that, I'm kind of like, okay, Christopher Nolan made another bad movie. That's disappointing. Then all of a sudden, we start hearing from people who really liked it.
Yeah, who direct movies.
I'm just going to have to go see the movie myself.
It pains me because I'm one of the guys who I like to wait till it comes out to where I can just watch it at my house.
So you're not a theater guy?
I'm not a theater guy. Like, I don't want to go buy overpriced popcorn, all right, and get a large Coke that cost me $37. It's a movie I'm disappointed in, because you know what? If I'm disappointed in the movie, if I'm at my house, you know what I can do? I can change it.
Yeah, you can.
I can change it. You make a dedication when you go to the movie.
You can't get that money.
You can't. Yeah, you ain't walking out.
Say, hey, this was trash.
Yeah, and apparently the movie's like 3 days long. So I mean, I've got a mixed bag about it. So I'm kind of on the fence.
All right. Well, hey. Got a good Thursday show planned.
I can't wait.
Let's get to it. We're very excited to welcome in Senator Tommy Tuberville. He's releasing some new legislation on NIL with Senator Joe Manchin. We're also going to talk with our boy Jordan Rodgers
J-Raj
from SEC Media Days, and then the quarterback whisperer guru, Coach David Cutcliffe, is going to join us as well. I'm David Cohn.
Hey, I'm Blaine Crane.
Welcome to Crane & Company. Welcome back to Crane & Company. I'm David Cohn. He's Blaine Crane, and we are very honored to be joined again by former college football coach and current senator. That's Tommy Tuberville. Coach, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Coach, you, along with Senator Joe Manchin, you have introduced legislation aimed at addressing a myriad of issues, really, but most notably name, image, and likeness. Can you give us the details of this bill?
Well, first of all, it's been over a year since we've been working on this, and we've had dozens of people working on it, and also getting facts and I guess you would call it information from coaches, athletic directors, presidents, NCAA, parents. We've had a lot of people involved, and again, this is not my legislation. This is pretty much what all the people involved in college sports are looking for. Now, you've got disagreements with some on all these topics, but the end game on this is Joe Manchin and I wanted to make sure that we get all 50 states doing some basic points, and then give the NCAA an opportunity to build on it from there. And if we don't do this, we're going to lose college sports as we all know it, and we all love college sports. And it's just not football and basketball. This is women's sports. This is Olympic sports. There's only so much money that goes around, and it takes a lot of money for all these sports. Some schools have upwards of 500-600 student athletes. Now, I'm not against athletes making money, but the one thing that we wanted to keep in mind was two things. We wanted to make sure that the players are understanding of what this responsibility is of going to a major university or to any university. It's education, and we got to leave education in this. If we get away from education and just talk about money, I mean, this won't last till the water gets hot. I mean, we're going to lose it. So I'm for players making money. I was around it for 40 years. I understand how hard it is, but we kept all those in mind. So Joe Manchin and I got together and said, let's talk and try to put some basic points. One of the things is get the money out of recruiting. The problem is that the Supreme Court says these athletes can make money, and I'm good with that. It's called a name, image, and likeness. It has nothing to do with recruiting. And you got coaches from all sports out there offering money in different states, and even some states are offering money to 9th and 10th graders, and saying, if you commit to us, we'll give you $50,000. I'm just putting a figure on this for the next 2 or 3 years. And when you get to that point, we'll up that money. We've got to get out of that. I mean, this is it doesn't work that way. There's nothing fair about some states being able to do that, and some states can't. So we're trying to get recruiting out of it. We want it to be a scholarship, and then when you get there, you earn that money off of your name and the talent that you put forth in your work ethic. That's what the Supreme Court meant this for. Second thing is, that I think is so important, is this transfer portal. And we went back and forth on this. Some coaches, there's a few coaches that say, it's really not that bad. Well, you look at it as we speak, in some areas it might not be bad, but it's going to get worse as it goes, because what you're doing is you're teaching young men and women to look at money and quit on a team that they sign with for money. And again, I'm all for money, and I'm for them getting paid and transferred. But we want to go back to the old rule. And most of the coaches, administrators, and even some parents said, let's go back to the old rule where you can transfer, but you got to sit out a year, and you still make money. If the collectives want to pay you money, hey, so be it. If you're sitting on the bench, but this just transferring at any time, and these transfer portals right after Christmas, and then of course after spring practice, it makes no sense whatsoever. That doesn't stand up for the basics of what college education is about. We had some things that we put in there of educating young men and women on contracts, how to do contracts, the literacy of money and how to handle money. There was a health point in there that we wanted to put in to make sure that anything cognitive, anything to do with the brain or orthopedic, if they had problems after graduation, then they're going to be covered for so many years, paid for by the football playoff and the college basketball playoff. That's probably where the money's going to come from. We'll build on that each year. That's the basic points. Again, it's all about recruiting. It's all about transferring, the health part. But we got to take care of these athletes. And again, I'm not against them making money, but my goodness, this is a mudslide going downhill very fast.
Well, I love hearing you make a distinction between name, image, and likeness, NIL, and then pay for play, which is through recruiting. I mean, look, I played college football. I love college football. I've never heard anyone say the reason I love college football is because those guys out there aren't getting paid or they're being exploited. No, this is America. I mean, if you have a skill set that warrants being compensated for, we're all in favor of that. But there does seem to be a situation here of free market economics versus parity. Parity within a conference or across the country where, like you said, those schools in those states have access to, the same resources. There is a sentiment around the country which says, hey, the government shouldn't be involved in college athletics. We have a governing body, the NCAA. Have they failed us regarding this issue, or was the NCAA put in an impossible position to which you guys said, hey, as Congress, we have to respond here?
Well, that's the first thing I told all my friends out there in the coaching business. Hey, you really don't want the federal government in your business because we can't handle anything up here, much less college sports. We're $32 trillion in debt. I mean, any business everybody would already be fired and run off and maybe put in prison what happened to a lot of this money. But again, as I told all of them as we worked on this, listen, this is not a rule that we do it. This is a law. Mm-hmm. You got to go by the law. And 50 states. Now you've got states like California and some of the other states. They want to do their own thing. Hey, and at the end of the day, you're going to have to make a decision. College sports going to have to make a decision. Do you want that one or two states to ruin everything else that you've got, or you don't want them to go out on their own? Whatever. NCAA, I've never been really a fan. I've understood more since I've been here after looking at all this stuff, what they have to go through. Football really doesn't fit into the equation of NCAA. Now they can handle basketball and all the Olympic sports and women's sports, but football really doesn't fit in with that. But I can understand where they're coming. They have got more lawsuits going after them, and they just couldn't afford it. I mean, it just got over their heads. So we're trying to help out the NCAA. Now, if say we got this has to go through the Senate, it has to go through the House, and then Biden has to sign this. And now that's kind of like finding a needle in a haystack if we can get this through all those barriers. But if that were to happen, we just want the NCAA to take these 5 things, say, guys, listen, if you're going to be in the NCAA, we're going to go over these. and then we're going to put these parameters around it. They build from that. But they're exactly right. The federal government involved in this, I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
Well, Coach, being a former athlete, being a former coach, what experience has that helped you come up with the things that are in this bill?
Well, I put myself in the shoes of what I've seen over the years of hundreds and hundreds of athletes, where they come from, their needs, their wants, as I used to tell my players, and even the ones I recruited. But, this will be the only time in your life that you have to have two full-time jobs at one time, because college sports, and y'all know this, college athletes, the average person has no clue what they go through in terms of workouts and meetings and tutors and all the things that go along with the coaching part. And then you throw in the academics. My goodness, it is very, very tough. And so that's the reason I've always been for athletes making a little money on the side, because there's no chance for them to have a part-time job to where they can go and work and make a couple $100 a week and go out on a date and possibly put gas in their cars. Now, over the years, I will say this, NCAA has come up with a lot of things like cost of attendance, where players make money every month. The Pell Grants, players make money. I had one coach tell me they went back and looked at last year's football team, and they spent $187,000 per player. That's a lot of money, $187,000. So at the end of the day, Coach, why are you doing this? I want to save women's sports and Olympic sports. Football and basketball and probably baseball can survive. But if we don't do something about this, the money's going to go to those three sports and buying and investing in players, and the donor money that would normally go to helping facilities for Olympic sports and women's sports is going to be gone. And so you're going to be scrapping women's sports and Olympic sports. Right now, some schools have 15, 16, 20 sports, and you're going to be looking at maybe half the sports. It is very expensive to run these and then be able to have the facilities. So there's a lot of factors that go in there. And of course, I've been around it for you. I knew and know what they're going through. The athletic director is looking at the bottom line. People ask me too about revenue sharing. A lot of these schools are getting ready to make $60, $70 million on just TV money. I'm one that, hey, they need to take part of that money and give to every athlete, And we can satisfy some of these needs, but some players making $2 or $3 million, and then somebody playing next to them making, $10,000. You're looking for a disaster to happen, because y'all know this. If your dressing room is not in great shape in terms of mentally and guys getting along with each other and understanding, hey, we're in this together, but wait a minute, this guy's making $2 million and I'm not making any. How is that going to survive? How's that going to survive in college sports? It's not going to survive.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And you see that at the professional level, and we've talked about that, ad nauseum. The revenue sharing model, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was going to be my next question. And I've told guys before, be careful before you ask for a bunch of money for playing college football, because some of those other sports on the campus may go away. They're not revenue generating sports. And if we're going to have this mindset that, well, you know what, if they're not generating revenue, then they need to get gone. I only care about the sport I play and making money. Well, that's one mindset to have, but my college experience was made better because there were other sports on campus. That much I know for sure. The revenue sharing model will be interesting to see if some of these institutions implement those. But Senators Cory Booker and Richard Blumenthal have also proposed legislation regarding name, image, and likeness. What are the details of that bill, and is this a situation where we could see two bills passed on the same issue?
Yeah, both those guys that were in with us when we were putting our bill together, and I'm sure they wanted to add some things. Some of our Democratic senators want unionized players, want individual contractors. That would be very tough to do. It'd be detrimental to all sports for players to just come in and say, "Well, I'm not getting enough money. We'll go on strike." I mean, that is not what education is about. Again, I'm for all of them making money. I want them to have a great experience. But for us to put the federal government and unions into college sports, I think it'd be devastating. So I think that's some of the things that they were looking at. Also, independent contractors. But you guys know, y'all know about college sports. I mean, it's a great experience. It's something that it's tough. I mean, you go and you have to build friends and relationships for 4 or 5 years. It's a great social experience. It pushes you hard. It makes you better. You understand time restraints. You understand organizational skills. The only two things that we have left in our country, because a lot of these young men and women don't have one or no parents, is sports at all ages that teach you things of values of this country, and the military. And those two things we're hanging on to by the thread of our teeth. I'm telling you, our military is changing daily. And look at sports and what we're talking about here. Everything's turning into money. Everything's turning into an individual person other than team. And we cannot afford that to happen.
One last question here for Senator Tommy Tuberville, and Blaine and I were talking about this right before you came on. It's the transfer portal. When we were playing college football, if you transferred out, you had to sit out a year unless you had already graduated or if you go down a classification. You had to sit out 2 seasons if it was within the same conference. Now we've seen the transfer portal window just open up completely where you can transfer anywhere you want. At the same time that this name, image, and likeness was coming about, I saw that this legislation you are proposing addresses the transfer portal. From a coaching perspective, how do you want to see this get handled?
Well, I think there needs to be some exceptions. At the end of the day, maybe if I'll go back to one situation that worked great, I think, in college sports. If you graduated, you had 1 year left, you could transfer. And you could go somewhere because if you didn't think you were going to be a starter, it gives you a chance. You fulfilled your obligation. You were able to go somewhere and enjoy that year as being on the field, possibly, being a starter. And I thought that was awesome. But we cannot get into the part of, hey, we're going to go the highest bidder for one transfer. I think that's detrimental to the education of our young people in this country. And again, if you want to transfer, I think it's good. If you don't like the coach, you don't like the assistant coach, but you got to understand there's always something that you got to pay the Pied Piper for. And if you transfer, you got to set a year. And it changed a lot of people's minds over the years that I was in. Players come to me and say, Coach, I'm not getting to play. I said, well, you're just a freshman. It's going to take you a while. You got to understand, how to play. You got to understand how to practice. And this sitting 1 year out changed their mind. And so, and then the next year, that young man, all of a sudden the light comes on. Yeah. And look what happens. So that, again, it's a hard experience playing college sports, very, very hard. And it should be, because you learn a lot from it. But again, now that we've thrown money into it, and one other thing I'll say this is you're going to start getting donor fatigue. You think about it. The donors are given $200,000 or $300,000. Now they feel like they own part of the team, and you go to the coach and say, "Hey, I gave you $200,000 for that wide receiver, and he's not even playing. What the heck's going on here?" It puts a lot of pressure. It puts a lot of pressure on the coaches, and it's you can see things that are going to crop out of that problem that's going to escalate problems across teams across the country. And then that donor says, I'm done, I'm out. And it wouldn't last very long, if you're asking me. Now, there's going to be some players that, that's going to be great players. But again, I think there's two things: the transfer portal and get money out of recruiting. I think that's detrimental. You can make all you want once you get there, but the Supreme Court says that's what it's about. You come, you work hard, and you make money off your name and image and likeness for how you participate, not what you did in high school.
Yes, sir. I'm sure glad I didn't transfer out the first time I got homesick. Yeah, I wouldn't have lasted too long. Coach Tuberville, thank you so much for joining us. And I speak for the whole team when I say thank you for providing some leadership on this issue, because it's very much needed in college athletics.
Well, thank you. Keep your fingers crossed and hope we can make a difference here. Again, we didn't invent the wheel here. We're just trying to help. So thank y'all for what y'all doing. Keep talking it up, and let's get back to college sports as we know it. But let the players make some money. Thank you.
Got you, Coach.
Yes, sir. Let's talk again soon. Man, that was exciting.
Needed it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've heard from a lot of people, hey, we don't want the government involved in college athletics. Why are they having to come up with the rules? I don't know why, but this is where we are, so at least someone's trying to lead.
Yeah, and I mean, we need leadership right now. And what a better person to be than Coach Tubbs.
I still don't know how. I don't know how it's going to be enforced. That's the biggest question. I mean, let's just take it down to the bare bones level. Whatever rule, whatever used to be a rule with the NCAA, which will now be a law with the federal government, you're still going to have teams that are trying to gain an advantage.
100%,
You know. Now, I guess you could say on the NFL level, okay, well, we have a salary cap. You know, so when a team, like any team, could just circumvent the salary cap and pay more money. But you would get caught and the punishment is severe.
Yeah.
Like, is that what we're going to see now? Like, if you're breaking laws instead of rules, that the punishment's going to be so severe that it's more of a deterrent?
I don't know. At this point, who knows? Who knows, Dave?
Yeah.
And the college sports are there. I mean, they're in a dangerous place right now.
Well, the good thing is the product on the fields are as good as they have been, right?
It's phenomenal, but still, I mean, that product can be damaged with legislations behind it.
We're asking the federal government to get involved.
Yeah, and you heard Coach Tubbs, $32 trillion in debt. We're asking these guys? Yeah. Great. Feel great about it.
At least there's something that there was some bipartisan support on. But then you have the Cory Booker and the Richard Blumenthal legislation where they just want it to be a union. Like, it's just unionized, and if you don't get everything that you want, just quit and hold out and go on strike.
Well,
these people will never be satisfied.
Let's wake up and find out what we need to cry about today.
These people will never be satisfied.
No, never be. They're trying to gain an inch every time.
I'll tell you what I get satisfied about, though, is anytime I get to talk with our boy Jordan Rodgers.
Jay Rodgers is a man.
It's always a good time.
The suit's nice.
Former Vandy quarterback, suit fresh. Oh, we had the same watch on, the Shinola game
Might
going
be a little
on.
intervention involved.
Detroit may, intervention. You know what? We should just go ahead and get that.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's go. Bring Jordan Rodgers in.
All right, day 3, SEC Media Days, getting thick. Heat turned up to 1,000 degrees.
How's it already day 3?
I know.
I feel like I've been here a week already.
Yeah, I know. It's just how it is. At third media day, we're kind of so ingrained in it now. We're kind of used to the flow of the motion or the ocean, whatever you want to call it. But we're here with Jordan Rodgers, former SEC quarterback, current SEC Network, ESPN college football analyst. Jordan, it's always great to see you, buddy.
It's good to be here in person, boys. You know, we've done it virtually a couple times. Like,
doesn't hit the same.
You guys don't look as good in person, but
again,
you look good on TV.
We tried to trick you for as long as possible.
All right, cut the interview.
This is a great time.
Get him out of here.
Blaine's trying to get on The Bachelor, so he's probably just going to suck up to you the whole time. But Jordan, again, obviously the storylines are plenty this year. It seems like we've kind of hit everything, but a couple teams that we really haven't, honed in on. A team like Kentucky with Mark Stoops, who I still don't think gets enough credit. Compared to John Calipari, I think he does more with less than anybody, and Calipari does less with more than anybody. But that's a story for another media day. But when you look at Devin Leary, a lot of hype coming, with NC State last year. Really didn't live up to it for extenuating circumstances. Do you think Kentucky has a chance to be sneaky once again this year? Are they going to be kind of back to themselves up front, which really kind of got them where they were to elevate themselves from, the condos to the suburbs?
Oh, I like that. I am really high on the Kentucky offense. I think they did a really good job, and we'll get to Devin in a second, but bringing Ray Davis in, because obviously they lose Chris Rodriguez. So that's a big part of their identity, right? Got to be able to at least run the football. I think Ray, shorter back than Chris is, but he's big. He's a physical guy. So I think that's good. But when it comes to Devin, interesting story. I was doing the Kentucky Pro Day watching Will Levis, and I've known Jordan Palmer for quite some time. So I was just kind of picking his brain about what they've been working on, some of the freaky things that Will can do with his arm talent. And Jordan goes, it was, he's good. He's going to be good at the next level. We were cleaning up a few things. He goes, but this next guy that Kentucky's got, Devin, he's going to be better. Like, he's going to be a dude. Now, I know Will had his ups and downs, but from a physical standpoint, like, Devin is as talented as anybody.
He throws maybe one of the prettiest balls.
Rip. Yeah. I mean, when you watch him off, it's like that ball jumps out of his hand. Like, and I remember back in the NFL, everyone always says, it jumps off the screen. There's not many guys that actually do. I remember Earl Thomas jumped off the screen because he looked like he was moving at a different speed. Devin's ball feels like that. Yeah. It just jumps off the screen. So I think they're really underrated at receiver. If you go back 2 years ago when Liam was there with Will in his first year, Barryon Brown was a true freshman. Dane Key was a true freshman. Super talented. And Kentucky hadn't been able to get guys like that outside Wandale and Lynn Bowden.
Yep.
So those two guys are super talented. Tavion Robinson, super talented. I think last year, for a lot of reasons, partially because of the offensive line, partially I think because the guy calling the plays.
I agree with that.
I think from a communication and teaching standpoint, wasn't the same as Liam. They took a step back. This group is really good. I think very, very highly of Liam Cohen. I think he's one of the best coordinators in the entire country when it comes to college football. So I think they're going to take a huge step. And defense is always like good, right?
Yeah.
Kentucky, I remember there was some stat going around that like the only defenses in the top 5 every year for the last however many years. Kentucky's one of those teams. Yeah. They're going to be solid on defense. If they can be consistent on offense, not turn the football over, not be just a mess up front like they were last year, they're gonna surprise some people.
I hope so, because I really like what Mark Stoops has going there. And then looking at the West, you know, we talk about the question marks at Alabama. Can LSU repeat again in year 2 under Brian Kelly? New coach at Auburn.
How you guys feel about LSU and Alabama?
Here's and I actually let off our show this morning. Yeah, he's
wait, what?
He's like his wife's
married
Richard
in.
Todd's
Look,
daughter.
Oh,
yeah.
David's in Michigan and Alabama.
Yeah, David's
tough times.
Yeah, tough times.
We're getting
tough
an idea
times.
who's wearing the pants here. Huh?
Yeah, that's exactly.
That's what I'm told, okay, George?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, the way I look at it's like this. I do think LSU, in my opinion, and I like to say my predictions till the end of fall camp. I need to see who gets hurt. I need to see who wins what job. But I think LSU right now, gun to my head, I'm taking LSU to repeat in the West. I know they got to go to Bama.
Oh, graphic.
I know. Look, I'll get super graphic. I'm surprised I'm not a graphics person. But I love what they're doing, returning both their 4 offensive linemen.
Yeah,
2
huge.
tackles, both NFL tackles. Emery and Will, I think, are both NFL tackles. Malik Neighbors, I think, is one of the most underrated skill players that don't get talked about. He's security blanket on 3rd down. And then, obviously, Mason Taylor there. Jaden Daniels. I love Jaden's game. When they started utilizing the deep third last year, it changed them offensively. Yeah. He's able to use his legs more. They're able to take care of the underneath game more. Run game got better. Defensively, I'll never question LSU's athletes. I like what they did in the portal, like the guy they brought in from Texas. Harold Perkins is, basically Oppenheimer when it comes to explosiveness. But sleeping on Alabama is not a good business to be in.
Agreed.
Nick Saban doesn't have to manipulate or brainwash anybody this year into them thinking that they're being slept on a little bit. I just don't trust the quarterback position right now, and they can't bully people the way they used to, where they could just run the ball, give you peanut butter and jelly, run play action, and beat you 31-17. But I like LSU right now. But my question to you is Arkansas. Because we always talk about, and it is, Sam Pittman's a great fit at Arkansas, right? It just makes sense, right? It's like waking up in the morning and drinking coffee. It just makes sense. But eventually the honeymoon ends. Eventually you got to win something. KJ Jefferson coming back. Dan Enos coming as the offensive coordinator, going to be a different flavor ice cream than what Kendall Briles was serving out there. And I think it's going to help KJ because, 90% of the offense was KJ either on the scramble drill or running the ball. He couldn't make it through a season healthy.
We're throwing it deep.
That's exactly right. You lose Trey Knox, who's a big piece last year, I thought. If Arkansas goes 6-6 again this year, do you maybe start hearing a little bit of, hey, I'm not okay, you're not okay, but it's kind of okay?
Yes, only because the SEC, right? You have a 2-year window to continue to show that you can win games and compete at the highest level. But I'll say I don't think so. I think it's very possible that could be the result this year.
Yeah.
Like their weapon, they don't have many weapons on the outside. And like we just mentioned, the offense is going to change a little bit with Dan, but last year it was KJ running, physical running attack, and jump balls on the outside a lot. And you lose Matt Landers as well, who was a big-time tall target on the outside that had speed. And KJ was good at that. But it's going to be different. He's not going to be, everyone's talking about, he's going to be under center. Maybe a little bit, but that's not KJ's game. You're going to adapt the offense to what he does best. So I think we're going to still see a little bit of flavor of what we saw last year. But with the pieces they've lost, I do think that's a realistic ending for them is 6-6, 7-5, something like that. But I do think it's not representative of Sam Pittman. I do think he is the right guy for the job. I think he's bought himself a couple-year runway no matter what happens this year unless you go out there and go 2-10.
And I hope it works out. I love Sam Pittman. I love what he brings to the league.
Well, what's hard about evaluating quarterbacks is if you're just in a vacuum right now, KJ's, I'm talking about him as one of the top 3 guys in the SEC. But if you go projections, I'm like, I don't think he's going to put up those kind of numbers and have that kind of success just because what is around him and what they lost.
I agree.
I know you mentioned it earlier, and I know we saw Palpatine walk by, also known as Nick Saban.
I've been watching your career with great interest.
Tyler Buckner transfers in.
Yeah.
All right. You have Ty Simpson, you have guys, but how worried are you for this quarterback room for Alabama?
I'm concerned, not worried, only because, and it was interesting, I did the spring game there, so I got to talk to Nick and Tommy about, what's really funny is the first time, that was probably the first real media opportunity Tommy had.
Yeah.
And what's so funny is the first time you talk to a coach that's under Nick Saban, there's just they're not sure what they can say.
I don't blame them.
And I'll get to what you asked in just a second, but it reminded me of a funny story. The first time I did a game with Bill O'Brien as the OC, we did a Zoom meeting. So I talked to him, but I like to meet guys face to face because I want to be saying good and bad things about them. I want to make sure that they see me.
Sure.
So I went down on the field, hour and a half before the game. They're playing Louisiana Monroe or something like that, right? And so I'm just talking to Bill. Hey, good to meet you, man. Just picking his brain a little bit. And he kind of starts, we're talking for 5-10 minutes. He starts getting a little fidgety, like looking around. And I'm like, he's like, hey, I got to go. If Nick sees me, he's gonna rip my ass. Yeah. I'm like, I've been working with the SEC a long time, not some random. Also, just like you were an NFL head coach, and you are literally scared that your head coach is going to see you talking to the guy calling the game an hour and a half before you play Louisiana Monroe.
That's wild.
So that's power. That is power.
So it was fun talking to Tommy. I think the reason I'm not panicked, because I do think they're good, they're not great. I don't think anybody in that room is going to be great. I do think it's either Ty Simpson or Tyler Buckner. I think you bring in Buckner because you realize this is the offense that we have to run. Jalen Milroe has the wow throws and he has the wow throws, like not good, right? They can't live with that. They need a distributor at the quarterback position because I do believe they are actually really talented at wide receiver. They're super deep. They don't have like the first-round draft picks that they used to having, but
it's crazy.
Those four dudes that were true freshmen last year. Kendrick Law is like a Debo Samuel type dude. I think he's going to have a much bigger role this year. Obviously, Kobe Prentice and Isaiah Bond can roll. Those dudes, I think, are going to take a big step. Emmanuel Henderson's raw, super talented. You bring back Burton, you bring back Ja'Cory Brooks. Malik Benson's a name to watch. So I think they got 7 or 8 guys that are really good. And you just got to get them the ball. You got a guy that can just flip it out, get it to him. I was pleasantly surprised watching Tyler Buckner's film. I thought he manipulated his arm angle in the quick game RPO better than I maybe thought he would. He's not a great deep ball thrower. He throws with good anticipation in some of the over routes and some of those intermediate throws. I think it's going to be Ty Simpson to start the year. I do think that battle could go a few weeks into the season as they figure out who can just make the least amount of mistakes, right? Because that's the type of offense.
Michigan,
totally.
The way it
that's the type of offense that they need to have is just be a game manager. And that gets like a bad rep in today's days, but I love it. So you're doing what you're supposed to do.
What quarterback is not a game manager? That's why I think it's the most. It's one of the worst terms in sports. It's like saying, "Oh, well, this pitcher, he's a game manager.
He just throws strikes and gets guys out.
He's a strike thrower.
Striking out 20 a game or 15 a game, but he's only giving up one run."
It's like, oh yeah, this guy hitting in the major leagues. Oh well, he's a professional hitter. Well, yeah, he is. That's why he's playing for the Braves.
Man, let's talk about the quarterback room at Florida. Last season, Anthony Richardson showed flashes of brilliance against Utah. It wasn't pretty down the stretch for the Gators. He still goes number 4 overall in the NFL draft based off that potential. Bring in Graham Mertz, completely different player. A lot of people have reservations about him being the starting quarterback at Florida. Not only do you have to navigate the SEC schedule this season, but in the non-conference, you're going to get Utah again on the road
at Utah
and Florida State.
Is that week 1 or 2?
I think it's 1.
Week
I
1.
think it's
Week 1. Yeah. Guess what? Humidity won't save you
brutal.
this time.
Then
altitude.
Then the SEC schedule, and then you end against your rival Florida State, who many people have in the college football playoff this year. Is Florida going to miss a bowl game this year?
There's a good chance, honestly. Like Graham Mertz has played a lot of football, which I think is good. But he's also, when you watch the film, he makes poor decisions. He forces throws. He turns the ball over more than you need. I think they're returning 1 starter up front. Like, they get both their studs back at running back, which is great. They're going to have to be able to run the football. But when you miss the pieces you do up front and you have a quarterback that has been inclined to turn the football over or force some throws, those two things are not a good marriage.
I just hope they're patient with Billy. Because, I mean, I hope they are. Because 24 is even worse.
I love Billy.
2024 is even
He's
worse.
recruiting really well. I think he's changing the culture there, which was needed. I love Dan Mullen, but I do believe that the culture needed to change there, and I think it has for the better under Billy.
I think it's a lot easier to say that now, but when you've already lost, when you're like 4-4 and you're down 31-0 against Georgia on the road, it's going to be a lot harder to say.
It's going to be loud.
No offense.
No offense taken.
Jordan Rodgers isn't stepping out of that tongue.
Expectations at Vanderbilt, baby.
Hey,
expectations
Vanderbilt
at
make a bowl game this year.
I think they could.
I hope they do. I like Clark.
They got 4 straight non-cons. Now, at UNLV and at Wake, those aren't like easy games, but like if they start out 3-1.
They got Hawaii week 1.
It is taking all my strength not to take all the money in my savings and put it on Vandy minus 18.5 against Hawaii. And I'm a big Timmy Chang guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
You are.
I remember.
What does that mean? That was
yeah.
Look, I like.
He's a huge Timmy Chang guy.
Colt Brennan. I'll go down the list, man. Hawaii used to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
But now, Jordan, last question for you right here. Joe Milton.
Yeah.
One of the biggest hinge players. That's what I'm calling him. Him, Drew Aller from Penn State. There's a couple of that if they come through,
if he's
you could have a huge season. But got a great fastball. But there's a lot of pitchers out there that got great fastballs that can't locate the changeup or the curve. Developing touch. We talked with David Cutcliffe about this. I think it is so hard to put that into somebody.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen it from Joe Milton. Had a good bowl game. There's extenuating circumstances. Is that something you think somebody can just learn, like over a year?
No.
I don't either.
But here's the thing. Okay, so I'm going to say that. Also, like, I was not a strong arm quarterback, right? I mean, God, if you gave me his arm, I'd probably still be playing because I had everything else except for that kind of arm.
Well, like, I'd send you to Ukraine.
Totally.
This thing in like 30 minutes.
I will say what he has improved is the accuracy in the intermediate. And I think that's what Hendon was so good at is you see the deep throws in this offense. You're like, that's what they live and die by. It's like, yes, but where they really hurt teams is those slants, those in-breaking short dig routes where Hendon put it 6 inches out in front.
Yeah.
That receiver didn't break stride. They turned the corner and they were gone.
Yeah.
Like those are the most important throws in this offense. I don't believe Joe all of a sudden has this touch on those throws, but I do believe some things he's done with his base when I talked to Joey Halsley about how they've tightened up his base a little bit, using his lower body a little bit more. You do get a little more consistent with those throws. He's still ripping them, but he is more consistent in the placement of those throws. So I'm going to say no, you don't just overnight or even in the span of a year all of a sudden learn to throw with touch. Mike Leach always used to say, like, you're accurate or you're not.
I'm a firm believer
and there are
in that,
variants.
Man.
I mean, you can get a little bit more accurate because your decision-making gets better, right? But you either are really accurate or you're not. So I think Joe's decision-making, the timing at which he's seeing those things is helping his accuracy there. But I'll say this. Joe is the most physically gifted quarterback I've ever seen. Yeah. Arm strength is not a prerequisite to playing quarterback. It sure helps.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
If he puts together the type of season that he can, he will be the Anthony Richardson of next year, for better or worse.
Yeah. Well, combine, I mean, his pro day.
No, he'll be a top 5 pick.
I mean, you talk about, but
again,
I mean, Anthony Richardson was a top 5 pick,
right? I mean, you don't those type of arms and that talent don't grow on trees. Yeah. If he'll have better film than Anthony, right? Just by virtue of the offense, he'll have better numbers, he'll have more throws that you go, okay, wow, okay, I know the offense is a little different, but Anthony didn't have great tape.
No.
And he still did. So if Joe puts together a good year and they win 10-11, which I think they should, he's going to be in that conversation as a top 10 pick, and he'll be in the Heisman conversation.
And not only that, if he can do it, they'll have a shot against Georgia at home.
No doubt.
I think
Dante Thornton was a big ad for them, too, because, like, my big question mark, Brew McCoy gets a lot of attention. I like Brew. He's a solid receiver.
He's a big physical.
But he's like a 2. He's like a solid number 2 on an SEC roster. Good player. Squirrel White is dynamic. He'll be the gadget-type guy. Ramel Keaton's a good player. Dante Thornton is a 6'5", 205-pound guy that they keep saying his GPS is as fast as they've ever had on their team. So I keep asking, the question this spring was, hey, does he have the juice that Hyatt did? Like, can he open it up like Hyatt did? And they're like, oh, yeah, like he can. So if he fills that role, that was my biggest worry, right?
Yeah,
they have
100%.
the Hyatt guy because they have good receivers, but they have the big body that can just go.
Well, Jalen used to scare the hell out of you as a DC. You want to scoot everybody back and it opens that run game up. But Jordan, great stuff, man. It's the reason we always love having you on here.
Good, boys.
Do a hell of a job, man. Love watching
Anytime.
you on Saturdays. I'm glad we're going to be able to watch you again on Saturdays now because football season's back. But anytime, man, it's a good.
The suit looks great, too.
The suit is fire. I've got to be honest.
It's getting a little tight. I need to watch the diet. They put too many donuts in that green room.
Dude,
I swear.
Keep me away from them. I've been good.
They do it on purpose.
Not you, bro. You
I've been good
like
lately.
108
well, no, I've been on the apocalypto diet. It's where I paint myself blue and just run around in the woods.
What have you been doing, though?
Man, dude, not eating past 7.
Yeah.
Not eating past 7 o'clock.
That's not
a couple only drinking on the weekends. Having a couple cold sodas on the weekends. No bread, no chips.
Do you eat carbs?
No dessert
at all?
Yes, a lot of meat, man. It's basically just been like meat and vegetables, and not snacking. Yeah. See, I went to France and they don't snack.
You thought this was an interview? We actually all wrote letters.
Mom, Oreo smoothie now.
So. About that.
Yeah. Thank you. It's like
we all
I've loved you for so long. Yeah.
Eat a cheeseburger.
I appreciate it, guys. Anyway, make sure you subscribe, and maybe you can catch me have another intervention for something probably way worse. We appreciate you.
There it is.
There you have
There
it.
it is.
I did not expect the intervention at the end.
You know, one, he looked great in his suit. I was a little bit jelly about the suit, I'm going to be honest. I should have suited it up. You know,
we have the same watch game going on.
Yeah,
too,
I know.
Shinola.
Wrist game shining. Congrats on that.
Made in Detroit.
No, great quarterback talk. Great quarterback talk. And then you got the intervention with Crane. You know, it had to be said. It had to happen.
Do you think it's going to help at all?
No.
He's eating right now. He's probably eating baked ribs or whatever.
Oh, well, yeah. Like, look, if there's ever a time for him to eat,
it's now.
It's over
He's
there.
over there.
I mean, we got a plane to catch in
this
45 minutes to go back, to make it over there to get in the gondola. You know what I'm saying? So we got to make a good time of this.
No, I'm a big Jordan Rodgers fan.
I love Jordan.
I'm a big Jordan Rodgers fan.
He does a great job.
I'm also a big Coach David Cutcliffe fan, but before we get to him, I have to tell you about a love affair that I'm having.
You're having an affair?
And it's with Black Rifle Coffee. I love Black Rifle Coffee. Every morning, every afternoon, 3 o'clock coffee. I'm drinking Black Rifle.
I love it too.
You love it too?
Yeah.
Tell the people what you got there.
You want to know what I got here? Power llama.
And what is that?
It's a llama with machine guns.
With machine guns.
Huh?
What else do you need to hear?
Say something. Say something.
If you're wondering what liberty feels like, ask any American. But if you want to know what it tastes like, ask our friends at Black Rifle Coffee. They have restored their Liberty Medium Roast. This roast has notes of hazelnut, brown sugar, and mild citrus. If you missed it the last time, they have it back in stock. Black Rifle Coffee is a veteran-founded coffee company operated by principled men and women who honor those who protect, defend, and support our country. With every purchase you make, they give back. So stop running out of coffee and sign up for a coffee club subscription to have Black Rifle Coffee delivered straight to your door on a schedule. Save money and drink America's coffee. Go to blackriflecoffee.com and use promo code BOOSTER. That's BOOSTER. Do that at checkout and save 10% on your one-time purchase or your first coffee club order. Look, we all know you're drinking coffee. You're drinking it every day. You're drinking it multiple times a day. Why not help support our show and support veterans at the same time as you get your coffee? That's the old Michael Scott win-win-win, okay? That's blackriflecoffee.com, promo code BOOSTER for 10% off. You can also find Black Rifle Coffee in grocery stores and convenience stores near you. Black Rifle Coffee, America's coffee. Got a couple Booster Club questions in here.
Okay.
From the mailbag. Okay. Mailbag Monday on a Tuesday on a Thursday. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So let's go ahead and get to Mike H right here. Popular opinion is Georgia will be unbeaten heading into the SEC championship game. If they were to lose a regular season game this year, which one will it be and why?
Let me pull up the schedule.
Pull up that schedule real quick. Because, see, I made the mistake last year of saying, okay, Georgia's coming off a national championship. There's no way, even if they go back-to-back, that they'll go back-to-back unbeaten. I was looking at Florida, Billy Napier coming in year one. Maybe you can sneak an opponent. That didn't happen, and now we're sitting here with Georgia back-to-back champions, and they go unbeaten last year. So this year, the narrative has been Georgia's schedule is as easy as it will ever be because Oklahoma went off the schedule in that non-conference. Read it off to me here.
Okay, you got UT Martin week 1.
Okay, should be a thriller.
Ball State week 2.
Great.
South Carolina week 3 at home. I think Georgia's they're too deep. South Carolina doesn't have enough. UAB. Good luck, Trent.
Trent Dilfer.
You have Auburn on the road.
Yep.
Absolute murder.
Jordan Hare with a new quarterback.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's already 28-0 at halftime. Then you have Kentucky at home.
Okay.
Could get interesting.
Yeah. Devin Leary.
Then you have Vandy on the road. Good luck. Florida on the road.
Well, neutral site.
Well, neutral site, excuse me.
But in Florida, fair enough.
Then you have Missouri on the road. No, at home.
No, at home. Because Missouri played them tight.
Dude, they had to score in a final possession.
Lose. Yeah. That's why I'm saying, like, it's not, hey.
Then you have Ole Miss at home.
Okay. Wait, Ole Miss goes to Athens this year. Interesting.
Yes.
Gotcha, okay.
Then you go to Tennessee.
Yeah.
And you get to go to Georgia Tech.
Okay, so
right now.
The question becomes what kind of quarterback play are they going to get?
There's a couple spreads out. The Auburn game, 17.5, Georgia.
Wow.
Cover.
And that's on the road.
Yeah. The Ole Miss game, 17.5. Tennessee game, -8.
-8. Okay, but Georgia's still favored in every single game.
Duh.
Yeah.
Except for the UT Martin game. I just don't believe in Joe Milton. I just don't believe in it. I think he's not going to even be the starter the whole year.
But that still has to be the answer, right? Or do you think it's more likely that Hugh Freeze in his first year, kind of like what I was saying about Billy Napier last year at Florida, finds a way to sneak them, beat them at home? Again, the question is quarterback play all the way around, even for Georgia. If they get spotty quarterback play, then all of a sudden we're talking about there's several games they could lose.
For sure.
But if this kid comes in and he's delivering the football every bit as good as Stetson Bennett was able to do,
they won't be touched.
They're not.
It won't be close.
You can't predict them at least to lose any football games. I mean, right?
No, not at all. For some reason, this Missouri game.
Okay.
Something about the way Missouri and Georgia play. Missouri plays them well.
They do.
They really do. It's a matchup because usually Missouri has some cats on defense. Missouri's always good up front on defense. They always got some guys running around. So the obvious answer would be Tennessee, in my opinion. But the sneaky answer would be Missouri.
I like that.
Yeah.
Let's do one more here. This is from Texas Ed. In the pantheon of college football, does this season matter considering the major realignments that begin in 2024? Yes, Texas Ed. Every season of college football matters. It's the only season that matters, this one coming up. But he is right. Texas, Oklahoma joining the SEC next year. You're going to have USC and UCLA joining the Big Ten. I still really can't, fathom that. It is going to be different. But this football season, and let's not even talk about the college football playoff is going to expand.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Yeah, so a lot of things are going to be different. It almost makes the season matter even more.
Yeah.
Because this could be the last time you see Bedlam for a while, Oklahoma State. This could be the last time that we're talking about, which 4 teams are going to make the college football playoff before it expands. I'm pumped for it.
Oh, I'm super pumped. Every snap matters. Every game matters. This season definitely matters. You're going to see things that you probably won't see again. Like guys in certain teams in certain conferences, and it's going to be new, but enjoy the old stuff too, right? Enjoy, really sit down and make note of the memories that you make that we see right now, because they're going to be gone before you know it.
Well, talking about memories in college football, one of the greatest offensive minds in the history of the game is Coach David Cutcliffe. It's always an honor to be able to sit down with him, and we got some time with him at SEC Media Days. Coach Cutcliffe.
All right, we have legendary coach, one of the guys that, when you talk offensively or just in general, putting a program together, one of the most knowledgeable men that there is. Coach David Cutcliffe. Coach, we got to catch up with you last year. It was a great time. We appreciate you sitting down with us and getting ready for another big year.
Yeah, I'm so excited about college football 2023. I look at the schedule. I was staring at it till midnight last night, the SEC schedule, because I decided I wanted to be in 3 places at one time each weekend. Can't do it.
There's a bunch of good matchups, and we've talked about kind of how wide open the West is. That there's a lot of storylines. Obviously, Georgia the favorite in the East, but I kind of want to focus on a situation in the SEC East, because while Georgia is the prohibitive favorite, I think Tennessee would be second in line there if anybody's going to give them a run. But to me, I think Joe Milton's one of the biggest hinge players in college football. And when I watch his game, obviously had a big bowl game, did well when he came in last year. We all know what Hendon did, then Hendon gets hurt. My question for you is, as a guy that's developed so many quarterbacks and is so knowledgeable when it comes down to understanding what they're looking at that position, when I see Joe Milton, we know he has the big arm. But you got to have more than the fastball to be able to be effective. How hard is it for a player, especially an older player, to develop that nuance and touch and to be able to throw the changeup or locate the off speed to use a baseball?
I'm going to start with Joe Milton. In this era, for him to have stayed at Tennessee and not transferred again tells you everything you need to know about him as a young man. And I said this to him directly. I told him I really appreciate that. And with that mentality, you have to remain a sponge. Yeah. You have to soak everything you learned. Experience is our greatest teacher. So it all remains in front of him. And I reminded him that guys that I've been fortunate enough to have in the National Football League all wanted to continue to work and get better after year 10, after year 15, and did. So it's a process, and don't fight the process. That was my advice to him. I watched him this spring in practice. I thought his practice habits were really good. I don't go out there and coach him. I don't say anything to any. I went to 16 spring practices this past spring. But Tennessee's got good practice habits on the field, as does most all of them. Georgia's got really good practice habits on the field. But Joe Milton has talent. I think he has intellect. You just have to do it, and people don't realize this. The seeds of victory will not grow on a game field. You can go out there and sow them all you want. The seeds of victory only grow on that grass on that practice field. And just from, watching him, and I know Coach Heupel knows this and his coaches know this, you become a product of what you repeatedly do. And so, yes, can he? Yes. Will he? I can't say that. I know I saw, like everybody else, the viral clip at the Manning Passing Academy, and Archie texted me and said, wow, but that's not going to happen in the game.
That's exactly right. Well, Coach, too, kind of going to the other side, looking at Alabama, and this is something that, I've wanted to ask you. You have a 3-quarterback race over there, and you have a new offensive coordinator in Tommy Rees. We know Coach Saban has said he wants to get back to kind of that old school Alabama offensive style of, running the ball, play action, playing bully ball a little bit. Not that you never throw it, but kind of running to pass and get out of the RPO. You have the decision to pull it every time. So when you have 3 different quarterbacks like this, because I do think they're all 3 different. Jalen Milroe, we know he's an excellent runner. Throwing has to continue to progress. Ty Simpson is more of your pocket guy, kind of work through the pocket. Not that he can't run, but you don't want to put him in that situation. And then obviously Tyler Buckner's somewhat of a blend. If Jalen Milroe is the best player, if he's the most elite player at that position or the biggest threat to defensive coordinators, would you alter your system to fit the best player? Or do you take the best player for that new system?
I think you have to alter a system to fit your personnel without question. If you're a really good football coach offensively, you have no choice. So it's not just him. We have to look at the receivers. And when you talk about Coach, and rightfully so, wanting to get back to being a little more physical, consistently physical, then you got to walk over there and look at the offensive line. You can only do what those guys will allow you to do. End of story, period. So it's a complex circumstance. I went to spring ball, and Coach Rees asked me to sit in his quarterback meeting and say a few words, and I sat and listened. I love the attentiveness of the players, his teaching skills. So, there's even still time left between now and when you start playing the big-time games, and I don't think you could predict who it's going to be right now. I've known Ty for a long time because I recruited him at Duke. I know his dad. I know the quality of young man. It's just, I told Coach Rees, I said, good luck, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Coach, I want to talk about a guy that's going to be here today and a team that's going to be here today. That's Coach Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers.
Yeah.
You get a lot of questions in the quarterback room, but you're bringing a guy like Peyton Thorne from Michigan State to double up with Robbie Ashford. What's your expectations, and what do you think you're going to see out of Coach Freeze and Auburn year 1?
Well, I was real impressed, and I told Coach Freeze this with their practice, with people he had surrounded himself with there. They went to work, okay? Their spring ball was really effective. The coaching on offense was outstanding. I think he's kind of turned a little bit of that, over. But again, I went everywhere, all 16 places looking at quarterbacks. Me.
Yeah, of course.
And, I was very familiar. I watched Robbie last year, and what a phenomenal youngster and phenomenal player. I live in Hoover. He's a legend there.
There you go.
And I'm not ready to – I'm going to go to 14. I'm not going to bug – and I may change my mind, but I'm not going to bug Texas and Oklahoma in August. But I'm going to go to 14 practices, take it all in. Unfortunately, keep it all to myself.
Absolutely.
But I'm interested because I shouldn't share it. I'm interested in what I'm going to see.
Absolutely.
Coach Cutcliffe, you are one of the most elite play callers, both as a coordinator and as a head coach. So I feel like you're uniquely qualified to speak on a topic that we've all been discussing ad nauseum. That is Jimbo Fisher, a great play caller in his own right, hiring offensive coordinator Bobby Petrino, who was not only a collegiate head coach, he was an NFL head coach. He's led #1 ranked offenses before. How do you anticipate this relationship playing out throughout the season, especially when you go into Dade County and play Miami in the second week of the season?
Yeah, that'll get a little attention there. But, I went to A&M spring ball, and obviously I've spent a good bit of time with Coach Fisher. I spent some time with Coach Petrino, hadn't seen him in a long time. I told Jimbo this. I admire his ability to be confident enough in himself to go out and hire somebody of that stature. I will say this, Bobby Petrino, I had to coach against him when he had Lamar Jackson. I coached against him at other times. He's a heck of a football coach. But you can't, and that's the thing that I think Jimbo knows, you can't be half in, half out. You have to commit to something. And I think, he realizes this man has a lot of talent and a lot of ability. And it's about your program. It's about your players. It's not about you as a coach. And I think Bobby Petrino's obviously hungry. Yeah. He knows what's on the line for himself. And so that's going to be an interesting way to play. I'm looking forward to going there in preseason in August to see what it all looks like.
That's going to be that's going to be a heck of a show to watch.
Oh man! And then I don't know which game I'm going to see them in yet, but that'll be fun.
They got a couple good ones this year.
I know they do. Well, again, if y'all can figure out how I can be in 3 places at one time, or beam me up, Scotty, and see.
There you go.
I don't know, but I've got to get in there, and Coach Smart's getting ready to rock and roll. I know y'all will see him later. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Appreciate y'all very much.
Always great to see you. Yes, sir.
Take care.
Coach David Cutcliffe, legend, sitting down, telling you how it is.
Man, that's awesome.
God, he's the best.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Think about this guy coached not only Peyton Manning, but Eli Manning. My dad actually wanted me to go try and play for Coach Cutcliffe.
Yeah.
I think he was at Notre Dame at that time. And I was like, no, I don't know if I want to go that far away from home, even if I were going to get a scholarship to Notre Dame. Then you start realizing, hey, you have to go where you're offered opportunities.
Yeah.
Ended up going to Michigan, even farther away from where I was
100%.
from.
Well, Cut knows the game. Quarterback whisperer. I mean, he's been in it for so long, and now he gets to go around and see practices and really dip his toe into a lot of different programs. And I think it's good for the programs to have Cut around. I mean, first of all, just what a mentor, what a guy to look up to, what a role model just for the game of not only a person, but for the game of college football.
No doubt, man. I agree. Let's take another Booster Club question here from your mustache. Actually, Blaine's mustache, who just turned 1 year old, by the way.
Yeah,
just had his birthday. Do you want to say anything to your mustache?
1, I love you. 2, you'll be back. Patience. Patience is key here. Who knows? He might be back right before the first college football game.
Really?
You never know.
All right. Well, here we go. Question from Blaine's mustache. Blaine, as the resident Yankees fan, but everyone else could obviously chime in if they want. Been a Yankees fan my entire life, and this has easily been the most pathetic season I've ever experienced, and it's not particularly close. At what point, if ever, will Brian Cashman be on the hot seat? Could a year this bad by Yankee standards be something that finally starts stirring the pot in terms of upper management?
I hope so. Doubtful, but I hope so. I mean, sooner or later, something's got to change because it's a disaster right now. There's no excuse for the amount of money that we have out there for us to be playing this bad. We can't hit. We're the Yankees and we can't hit. All right, and we're talking about bringing in Andy for pitching and stuff like that. Pitching's like we can, at this point, if Aaron Judge is out, we are a trash baseball team. A trash baseball team. And you want me, look, my mustache, you want me to sit here and give input? I would love to. I would love to, but you never know where it's going to be in the morning when I get up. All right? Turn on the news channel. See, I'm getting CNN by the Yankees. All right? You know how bad that hurt me? Am I still a fan? Yeah, deep down. Do I want them to kind of do bad this year? Maybe a little bit. Maybe until I get my apology, and I'm still waiting on it. I don't know what day we're on. I have to go to the Booster Club members. They probably know. But at this point, you need to get rid of all of them. Aaron Boone needs to be gone. Cashman needs to be gone. Let me coach the team. Let me coach the team. I guarantee we'll be hitting better than this. Throwing sunflower seeds at them all day. There's sunflower seeds in the garage all day. How do you think Bryce Harper got where he is? Sunflower seeds.
Wow.
In the garage.
There, you heard it there. All right, we'll be back to the sports talk in 1 second, but first up, HelloFresh.
Hello?
Who is it?
It's Fresh.
Oh, it's Fresh.
It's HelloFresh.
HelloFresh. If you don't know about HelloFresh, you're about to know now. Because skip the trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking fun and affordable. Make your home the hangout place this summer with crowd-pleasing eats, from a backyard bratwurst bar.
Come on now.
To a tangy, and just bear with me here.
Oh, look, I'm holding on.
Key lime pie. A tangy key lime pie. They already know that's my favorite dessert.
You're a big key lime guy.
Well, it's a 1A, 1B with chocolate chip cookies, but either way, key lime pie in the top 2. HelloFresh Market makes summer entertaining a cinch. Tell the people about the food, please.
I mean, come on, it's phenomenal. I think over 40 recipes. I mean, come on. I mean, and it's delivered to your door. It's just right where you want it. And it's just, there's nothing good, nothing better than just, getting with the kids in the kitchen. And it's easy to make. They walk you through every step.
And you don't go broke.
You won't go broke. You don't have to be Bobby Flay in there to figure it out. All right? Just be a normal guy. It's just phenomenal. It's fresh and it's hello.
With so much variety, there are options for everyone and every lifestyle. Go to HelloFresh.com/booster50. All right? Hey, that's BOOSTER 50. I know that's an extra 2 numbers there from what you're used to, but you know why? Because using that promo code saves you 50% off plus free shipping. 50% off.
Free shipping?
That's as much free as you're paying, and you throw in the free shipping.
Come on, dude.
I mean, you just robbed them.
You're stealing.
You stole from them.
You stole.
Okay, that's right. 50% off. HelloFresh.com/booster50. Make sure to use that promo code. That's HelloFresh.com/booster50. America's #1 meal kit.
Numero uno.
All right, back to sports. You ready?
Let's get it.
All right, one more here. Dylan says Oregon will join the Big Ten in the next expansion. What do you think? Yes or no?
Yes.
You like Oregon in the Big Ten?
I don't mind it.
Might as well go ahead and get Washington while you're at it then.
Yeah, I mean, might as well pull as many as you can. Big Ten's going to be tough. Woo. I mean, you're adding USC and who else?
UCLA.
UCLA, which I think they're going to come in and both do extremely well.
Right off the bat.
Yeah.
Well, there's not going to be any more divisions, so it's not like you can just clump them in the Big Ten West.
No, I think they're going to do
and go win that division.
Because I think one, I believe in Chip Kelly, just from a play calling standpoint, and I feel like USC, you got the offense figured out, but their defense can't get much worse. So obviously the defense is going to get better under Coach Grinch, and I feel like their offense is just so head and shoulders above most of the offenses in the Big Ten that they're going to be able to outscore a lot of people. A lot of people. Now, when you play Ohio State and Michigan and those guys who are extremely good on all 3 phases of football, it's going to be tough just because of a physicality standpoint for Michigan. Michigan's going to run through them. All right, it's going to take time for that. But other schools like that in the Big Ten, like the Iowas and we'll see with Purdue and just certain schools that don't really have an offensive output as where it should be. I feel like USC obviously better than UCLA, but I feel like UCLA might come in. USC might come in quick and dominate early.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm interested in the style of play, especially later in the season. When you're talking about Southern California schools, like how do you go on the road to Wisconsin in November and play football, or Iowa or Michigan, like you were saying? That's what I think will be most intriguing. Does the style switch up a bit? Because like you said, Lincoln Riley-led offenses are throwing the ball all around the yard, putting up a lot of points. How much of that type of Chip Kelly that we saw last season with a big back like Zach Charbonnet, how much are we going to continue to see that? Or is he going to continue to coach to his player skill sets that he brings in?
Well, not even Charbonnet, but DTR was really good too. They have a freshman, that 5-star, who I think is going to be a really good player. I think Chip's going to coach his players strong point. That's just the way Chip is. I mean, he'll have a system obviously involved, but he's going to call plays to his players' strong point. And I think, to be honest, I feel like UCLA's defense is not bad either. They've had some guys on defense. I think they're in a lot better shape than USC's defense. But I do believe I want to see what USC is without Caleb Williams. Right, that's what I want to see.
Well, Lincoln Riley proves he can just keep recruiting the best quarterbacks in the country. Whether he's at Oklahoma, whether he's at Southern Cal. So let's see if that continues. But first, let's talk a little Georgia football with our boy Rusty Manziel, who we always love catching up with. We got to see Rusty at SEC Media Days, talk to him a little bit. He's with On3 now, covering the state of Georgia like a warm blanket for us. Rusty, what's going on?
We're very excited to be joined here with Rusty Manziel, On3 Sports. One of the best when it comes to recruiting, knowing ball in general. I love that we get to kick it off with you, Rusty. First off, can you just tell me how excited you are to be at SEC Media Days like us, because it means we're one chapter away from kicking that bad boy off.
That's what I said on this morning on Dogs HQ, our site. I said, look, guys, this is it for me. Like, it's time to go. And it's talking season, but we're close enough to kickoff season, camp. And first of all, I'll say this. Thank you guys for always having me, man. What you guys have I always think about that picture. You're like, this is where I started. It's
the old laptop, the Slytherin laptop.
It looks like a damn Atari plugged up in like one core. But so congratulations, you guys. I know y'all are excited about being in Nashville, but Nashville is kind of a special place for me because Shannon Terry's here. This is his
Shannon's
home court.
Great, man.
And Shannon kind of, has made my career, gave me opportunities. So Nashville will always be a special place for me.
Definitely. We're excited to run into Shannon. I know we're going to see him and Grant here at some point. Hopefully get them on tomorrow. But Russ, you know how much we think of you, my friend. And we always appreciate you coming on. We know you're a busy guy like we are around this time. And I want to go ahead and get into it. Obviously, Georgia has dominated the past 2 years. It's been a renaissance. Went from trying to get over the hump to now you guys just can't seem to lose when it comes down to big games. But there is a new quarterback in town.
That's right.
Carson Beck seems to be the guy. I think we can go ahead and pencil him in. I've talked a lot today already about Alabama breaking, having that 3-team quarterback race. There's not a ton of returning quarterbacks in the SEC. There is, when you look in the country, the Pac-12, ACC. But when you look at Carson Beck, you could not ask for a better situation to step into.
Oh, my goodness.
Offensive line, really good defense. Dominic Lovett from Missouri, Ra Thomas. Just talk about how comfortable Carson Beck has to be stepping into the thing from Pacific Rim, ready to fight.
I mean, it's like you go to a car lot and every car is fully loaded leather everywhere you turn around. I mean, because the offensive line in front of him is probably as good as I've ever seen at Georgia. Like these guys, you got Amarius Mims, who's going to be probably a first-round draft pick. Cedric Van Pran, who will be the #1 center drafted. You got Tate Ratledge, I think I saw yesterday from PFF. He's given up 1 quarterback pressure in a year and a half. You got Xavier Trust, who, by the way, is 6'8", 325 pounds. And then you got probably at left tackle, they're going to have Ernest Green, who was a highly rated prospect out of California. So you're going to throw a kid in there at left tackle. But when you start talking about experience and up front and keeping your quarterback upright during games, Georgia's going to be a hell of an offensive line.
Yeah, and I mean, we're not even talking about Brock Bowers, who, in my opinion, is the best player not at quarter, or the most important player that doesn't play the quarterback position in college football. Rusty, Mike Bobo coming in, being the offensive coordinator, stepping right back in, probably has the same spit cup he had last time he left.
No doubt.
Todd Monken off to the Ravens. Glad for him. Did a great job for Georgia. I know there's no ill will there. Do you think Mike Bobo is going to play it safe with Carson Beck early? Or do you think he's going to let this thing kind of fly a little bit and maybe pitch backwards on first and second down?
I don't think Bobo has much of a choice because Georgia's not built like it was when he was here. They don't have Sony Michel. They don't have Nick Chubb. They don't have those guys. Their playmakers are on the outside of the hash, sort of. Ladd McConkey, Brock Bowers, Arian Smith, all these guys. It's going to be in his best interest if you're going to score all these points and do these things to turn this thing loose. And you got to have confidence in Carson Beck because right now Georgia – it's kind of going to be the theme. Is Branson Robinson healthy? Kendall Milton's been banged up. Georgia's not built to kind of manhandle you anymore. It's crazy. They're explosive offense. So I think Mike Bobo is going to turn this thing loose. And he did at Colorado State. And some of those things when he had Aaron Murray and those guys and A.J. Green and players like that, they did. But right now, the way Georgia's built, they're fast-paced. Let's turn this thing loose and throw the ball.
Hey, Russ, y'all want to talk about the other side of the ball real quick, which is not lacking for talent and depth, absolute monsters running around, especially the speed they'll have on defense. Where would you stack this year's defense from the last 2 years?
Well, I'll say this, and no disrespect to this kid, because I'm telling you, I covered this guy, and this is a kid you would want to marry your daughter, Chaz Chambliss. Not the most explosive, pass rush guy. He's an effort guy, just plays hard and does all this. Georgia won those 2 games, and Tennessee too, without Nolan Smith. I'm telling you right now, Georgia's going to be a lot different pressure-wise because they got some dudes now, and they got Michael Williams is going to play standing up some. You got Marvin Jones Jr., who they had to limit last year. He can only play like 9 snaps a game because his shoulder. So the third season was over. They had to give him shoulder 5. You know, this is a 5-star too. Then you add this kid in. Remember this name because it might not be the first 3 months or the first 3 games, but the time Georgia gets to that bye week, Florida, in that second half of the season, people are going to know Damon Wilson. This is a 5-star outside linebacker from Venice Beach.
Like the third person.
So I think Georgia is going to be faster on defense. Now, you don't have a Jalen Carter, and you're not going to replace Jalen Carter because he disrupted. I mean, he was a problem for everybody to do. You're not going to replace him. But I do think pressure, Smile Munden blitzing, and a little bit longer on the corners and faster, I think Georgia's going to be faster defense.
You know, back-to-back national champions, especially when you're supposed to go 7-5.
Oh, man. Everybody had them 7-5.
Yeah, exactly. So
everybody.
What do you think the messaging is going to be from Kirby Smart this year to the players? You know, just try to keep them in week to week and not look ahead to the final prize.
Well, listen, and that's going to be another story for the whole week. The off-the-field stuff, but what his players are going to hear. You're back-to-back. Everybody's going to pick you to win a national championship. You're going to be the favorite. All this complacency, how does that get into? How does that seep in? It starts. All you guys have been in the locker room. It starts with internal leadership. Guys like Cedric Van Pran. How much does Carson Beck? How much weight does he carry? Because listen, he's never played a real snap at Georgia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as a quarterback, you've got to earn that to be able to talk. But I'm interested tomorrow, guys like Brock Bowers comes in. What's their message and what's the offseason been like for those guys? Because I don't care who it is. You're not reading 7-5. I mean, Nolan Smith's uncle could have made that up, and it worked last year. That's not working this year. So, and their schedule's not helping. We could talk all day about that Oklahoma game getting taken away, which now, in hindsight, like, why didn't we get to play that game?
Yeah.
Why are we not talking about Georgia in Norman week 2?
Yeah.
Can
you imagine Georgia in Norman and Texas at Bama?
Come on.
Right.
Come on.
Week 2.
Gosh, I'd be happier than a fat kid in a bakery.
I mean, that's you talking about 100-calorie day. That's all you burns 100 calories because you're not moving from the couch all day. What I call that 100-calorie day. So when you look at that, unfortunately, that game's not going to take place. So Georgia's schedule is going to, it's going to take a hit. And at some point, I just feel like, what's the offseason message been? Because I don't care who you are. You're back-to-back and you've won a lot of games. How do you charge these kids up again to be like, hey, we got to go, and everybody's against us? Mm-hmm. We'll see.
So is complacency the only concern? I mean, if we're sitting here the first week of December and Georgia is not in the SEC championship game again, what will the reasoning be?
It'd have to be, in my opinion, probably quarterback play.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I think all the pieces there. Look, and I've said this. I think Carson Beck's about to tear it up. I think he's going to have a hell of a year. But we don't know. Mm-hmm. You don't know. And you guys, I've talked about on your show, Stetson Bennett was 4th-string at this point 2 years ago. Yeah. Like Monken brought him in and said, "Look, dude, you're not getting reps, and just deal with it. You're basically not getting reps." And next thing you know, they win 2 national championships with this guy. Yeah. So you don't know. So Carson Beck, I think if Georgia don't, in my opinion, it had to come out of maybe Carson Beck turns it over to somebody else and they don't get it from somebody else. To me, the only thing that could knock Georgia probably that far down to me would have to be quarterback play.
And how much blame will Todd Monken get? Or will
Mike Bubba? He's Mike Bubba. They're already blaming Mike Bubba.
I've never understood.
There was a line outside of Raising Cane's this morning, and Mike Bobo got blamed. The fries weren't hot.
I don't understand.
It's blame Bobo, man. You know what I mean? It's a hashtag. Like I've read into Mike.
The new guy? Yeah. Blame the new guy.
I've read into Mike Bobo at like places. I'm like, dude, the golf cart's not charged. I'm blaming it on you. That's your fault. Blame Bobo. So that's kind of comical. I mean, this guy's done. I think it says a lot. It's obviously Mississippi State came after him, and Will Friend actually took that job over there. And I think when you hear the rumors about Mississippi State coming after him, and listen, Monken wasn't gone at the time. Like Monken was still there. So Mike Bobo made a decision, like, I'm staying here. I'm staying here after this thing. And next thing you know, a couple weeks later, he's got the job. So I think Kirby Smart hiring him that quick, without hesitation, just said, look, we're confident in Mike Bobo.
Yeah, injuries too. You obviously got it. I know Georgia's as deep as the Pacific Ocean, but it's a battle of attrition. We know that I wouldn't say lucked out, but it's been about even.
Yes.
It's been about even. Last thing I want to say, and I really want to drive this point home because I don't think a lot of people understand this when you're hearing about this off the field stuff with Georgia. Number one, I will never hold a university accountable for what a player does after they're gone. Yeah. I don't hold USC accountable for O.J. Simpson.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And that's not everybody.
True.
But there's a difference. There is a difference as crazy as this sounds, between culture in the locker room, on the practice field, and during the game, and what somebody's doing when they're driving home to see their aunt and uncle.
Correct.
I think we have to be able to separate those two.
Yep. You know, this whole deal is going to be talked about so much this week, and I think when the article came out about all the speeding and stuff like that from the AJC, Georgia and any media that I know, nobody said anything like, okay, that was a well done, that's an investigation, those types of things. But the other topics that came out, when you see Georgia basically come back and say, hey, that's not our culture, I think that was from inside out going, you're not painting us that way. You know what I mean? Like, our culture is who it is. I think you guys see Dana Holmgren talking about Georgia and how he came over and spent 3 days with Kirby's staff and talked about, man, we had no idea like, the meetings they're putting into. I talked to a guy today, I don't have permission to say his name, but he's been around this program for a long time. He went to a different part of the world and jobs, but he told me today, he said, man, you don't realize how many times I've watched Kirby Smart talk about driving in front of these players and how many speakers we've had come in and talk and how many photos we've shown people of car wrecks. Kirby had a little press conference last week deal with all the local guys. ESPN was there, a few of those guys. And I don't know who it was. I'm sure that I get asked, but he basically said he had a player stand up in front of the team last week and said, enough is enough. I lost a teammate, I lost somebody else I love, and it was because of driving fast. And we're done here. So you guys know, being in a locker room, when somebody stands up and says that, when it's that person, it's not gonna get to Kirby Smart or get somebody else. It's gonna go through that team leader, and that carries a lot of weight.
Well, the best teams police themselves. The last thing I want to ask you, Rusty, I know you're a busy man. Make sure you follow Rusty Mansell. All social media, does a great job on 3. I'm gonna let him plug everything he's got going on. The man's got his hands in 19 different pots.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah.
I want to know, do you think Stetson Bennett deserves a statue?
I would have one stipulation. He's got to finish that one class. Hey, listen, your man here was on that. I was on that 5.5, 6 year plan too, so I'm not knocking Stetson.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'll tell you this, the dude won 2 national championships. And, I was thinking the other day, I was thinking about it because I know his family well, know him. Trevor goes to Clemson, and Trevor Lawrence goes to Clemson, and Georgia fans are like, man, we lost the one guy that could have done it all. And then it winds up being this walk-on kid from Pierce, Blackshear, Georgia, that's 5'8.5" with his hair good. He's 5'10". You know what I mean? And this dude was just a damn baller, man.
That's why football is the greatest drama in history of the world.
Yeah.
Rusty,
man, thank y'all. You're looking good, man. I told him, hey, it's going to be a good fall camp for a man.
Cone's lost 31.
Look, I can't tell. He's got his.
I lost 15. I lost 15.
Yeah, okay.
No one gives me any love,
Nobody cares.
No one gives me any love when it comes to losing weight.
Hey,
you look great.
I appreciate it, man. Look good.
But
I know y'all ready.
Tell everybody, Rusty, where they can find you.
Man, anywhere on socials, Instagram, Rusty Mansell _ Twitter. And, listen, a lot of people ask my job change. Yes, I am a co-owner, publisher of the Georgia site, which is something that Shannon Terry gave me basically a life-changing opportunity. But the state of Georgia means so much to me, so I'm not through covering other kids. I'm not sure it's out now, but I helped a kid this morning make his announcement, set up his announcement later this week, and he's definitely not going to Georgia. He's a highly rated kid. I just love the state of Georgia. High school football changed my life, and what I can do anyway, social platform-wise, with On3, so it's incredible. How fast this brand's taking off. So I'm sure Shannon's right here kissing babies and she's signing autographs.
Without a doubt.
Y'all need to get him on, man.
Oh, yeah, no, we're going to get Shannon on.
So, Shannon and Grant. So,
definitely.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me, man. Thank y'all.
And the people, Rusty Mansell, go
thank
check
you so
him
much.
out.
Rusty Mansell, covering Georgia for us.
Love Rusty.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, you're talking about a guy who knows everything that moves in the state of Georgia. That's Rusty, man.
Good to see him doing well over at On3 now, too.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Good fit. It's a really good fit for Rusty. On3 is really good, too.
And speaking about On3, tomorrow's show, we're going to be talking about a lot of name, image, and likeness with their founder, Shannon Terry. Fantastic conversation that you don't want to miss. Before we wrap up today, though, got a couple more mailbag questions that some of the Booster Club sent in. But first up, our friends over at Provia. Blaine, you don't want to go bald.
You don't want to go
You don't want to go bald.
No.
You want to have your hair thinning? Tell them about the friends over at Provia.
They just know how to do. They're basically the Willy Wonkas of growing hair.
The Willy Wonkas?
The Willy
You're
Wonkas.
putting them up on that pedestal?
They're on that pedestal.
Yeah, because they're the best.
They're the best,
I
hands
like
down.
that. Are you one of the millions of American men and women dealing with premature hair thinning? Or maybe you're worried about inheriting hair loss because it, quote unquote, runs in the family.
Are you running in the family?
Look, it really does. Finally, there's a real solution that delivers on its promise without the harsh side effects, all the unwanted chemicals, or unpleasant smells. That's Provia Hair Care. Uses safe and natural ingredients called Procopil, effectively targets the 3 main causes of premature hair thinning and loss. Provia works guaranteed, or 100% of your money is back.
100%.
That's a 100% guarantee.
100%. I'm pretty sure the what's the little guys in Willy Wonka? The Oompa Loompas were using Procopil
I heard that too.
to make that chocolate.
I thought it was a conspiracy, but now hearing you say
Look at
it,
it.
I know that it's a fact. Take advantage of Provia's exclusive introductory summer package at proviahaircare.com/booster. Enter promo code BOOSTER at checkout for an extra discount on your order. See results for yourself right now. Don't wait. That's proviahaircare.com/booster. This one's from Mr. Conspiracy. Okay? Blaine, have you ever played on or against a team that had players fake injuries on the field to kill momentum or get a timeout? What's your thoughts on doing that?
I'm going to be honest, I've done it before.
Really?
Yeah.
Explain the situation.
I was playing, in high school I played a little receiver and safety and a little corner too. So I was playing corner in the playoffs. I believe it was the semis. And I'm trying to remember what team we were playing, but they're a hurry-up tempo team. And so I think we were up by a touchdown or something late, but our defense really wasn't doing great stopping them, and they're on a 6-7 play drive, and I'm talking about it was bang, 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 they're going. So, I'm looking, you look over, you get the call, right? And so Coach D looked at me and
gave you a little pistol,
right?
Down.
Boom, and immediately, bam, cramp, injury, you come out, they come, work on you a little bit. The team can kind of huddle up. Coach D's working. We end up stopping him that drive, too. Look, I'm all for bending the rules.
You were doing what your coach told you to do.
I'm all for bending the rules. If you're not, are you really trying to win if you're not bending the rules? Are you really trying to win? We're not breaking the rules. We're not breaking the ruls. We're not cheating, all right? We're just, there's always a little bit of a gray area.
That's why we need to take the gray area out.
How do you take the gray area?
Well, I can't remember exactly what Jake said his solve for this would be.
Sit a drive.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly what the protocol was, because we all disagreed just a little bit, but he was like on the right track with it, which essentially, if you are pulled out that drive, you have to sit the rest of that drive, which is like, look, again, we have to go to the extreme end of a hypothetical example to play this out, which in this case would be, okay, national championship game, or even at the highest level, let's say it's a Super Bowl, and your best player on defense legitimately rolls his ankle and needs to sit out 3 plays, and then he wills himself back into being able to come into the football game. Down on the goal line, is he not allowed to return to play for his team for a big stop in the national title game? That's where it gets tough. At the same time, like you're talking about, defenses will just continue to take advantage of the situation because they're not breaking the rule. Like you said, they're not cheating, and everyone's trying to stop momentum as much as possible
100%.
Without waiting a timeout. There has to be something we can do to solve this.
But what is there you can do? You're going to tell, first of all, how are you going to tell if a guy's injured or not? Right?
That's another.
And how bad would it be? Right, if there's actually the scenario you're talking about, if a guy does roll his ankle, your star player, right, and he has to sit out on a final drive, and he could have been the difference on winning a national championship or not.
What about sits out until the next first down?
No, I don't think you should have the ability to tell a player.
Wait, were you playing defense in this hypothetical? Or in this the example you said, you were playing defense.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't think you can tell a guy to sit a certain amount of time because he got hurt. No, you can't go back in the game. Sorry, bud. We don't know if you're faking it or not.
Well, you know what?
We just kind of have to live with it.
The defense always catching breaks.
They are. Look, they are. I agree, 100%.
I love that there's not a defensive guy here to push back on it. But you know what? So then we need to take the fake slide thing away then, just to even it out. All right?
Yeah, that needs to go away anyways.
No, I meant take the fake slide penalty out. We need to be able to fake slide.
Okay, then we're going to start teeing off on guys. That's fine. You want to fake slide? So you mean
basically it's just back to how football's always been played?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, now you can tackle people. Sorry, I forgot about it.
All right, man. That's it for today. What a great show.
Great job.
Why don't you tell the people bye? don't you sign off for us?
You want me to sign off?
Yeah.
It's a good sign off. Like the chances of Oppenheimer being good or bad? We're going.